for our world, and why we have to understand and know what we UN do. Therefore, to give you a background, we're going to start our presentation.
So first of all, what is UN? UN is a worldwide organization promoting peace and security, and it is created in 1945, October 24th, after the World War II, based on the UN Charter. UN follows the spirit of civil society, which guarantees freedom, equality, and independence. Currently, there are 193 member states, including South Sudan, and lastly, there is 6 official languages, including Arabic, Chinese, English, Russian, Spanish, and French. Now, let's talk about the history of UN.
So the history of UN is the first world organization was called International Telegraph Union, was formed in 1865, and in 1874 the Universal Postal Union was formed, and they are now both UN specialized agencies. The start of the UN was the foundation of League of Nations in 1919 under the Treaty of Versailles, and the establishment of the actual UN was on 24th of October 1945 at the end of the Second War. The name UN was coined by Franklin D. Roosevelt.
So moving on to the structures of UN, there are currently 6 organs in the United Nations: General Assembly, Security Council, Economic and Social Council, Trusteeship Council, International Court of Justice, and the Secretariat. So first of all, the General Assembly. General Assembly is a major organ in United Nations, which consists of 6 main committees. So a General Assembly is known as deliberative organs in the United Nations, which means General Assembly has a right to deliberate and suggest ideas to member states. Below, General Assembly decides admission of new member states and adopts the budget. And lastly, with the Security Council, General Assembly elects the UN Secretary General. And each countries are guaranteed to have 1 vote during the conference. So next, Security Council. Security Council is responsible for world peace and maintaining security. The most extreme point in Security Council is that Security Council has 5 permanent members, often known as 5 veto powers: USA, UK, France, Russia, China. For a 2-year term, 10 non-permanent members will actively work in the conference. Furthermore, the Security Council has a presidency which rotates every month. Moving on to Economic and Social Council, known as ECOSOC, are aimed to raise the standards of living in worldwide by implementing internationally for economic and social issues. It has 54 members for overlapping term of 3 years. For Trusteeship Council provides international supervision for 11 trust territories that is now placed to 7 member states. Since all the trust territories gain independence, there is currently no constant movement from the council, and by 1994, the council decided to meet when the occasion is required. So now, moving on to International Court of Justice. ICJ is basically a criminal court in the United Nations, consists of 15 judges from General Assembly and Security Council. ICJ applies international laws, and it has a right to bind decisions, but no compulsory jurisdiction, which means no forcing. And lastly, the Secretariat. The Secretariat conducts overall administration services in United Nations and supervises secretary services, and thousands of staffs are dedicating themselves for around-the-clock issues. Now let's move on to the activities of the United Nations.
The activities of United Nations. United Nations done several and thousands of activities, and we chose 3 biggest issues in several, in this year. So firstly, Ebola with WHO. Ebola, which is a disease that starts from the Africa, strikes even for Korea when the first infected person appeared in Korea, the whole country, the whole world became in danger of becoming dead. And and when the serious situation strikes, the WHO, which is also known as World Health Organization, visit Korea and have several conferences to provide solutions for a situation. And secondly, SDG, which is also known as Sustainable Development Goals, which just has 17 goals, including end of poverty, human rights problems, and education, and several problems. To solve these problems, United Nations hold hundreds of conferences to provide solutions and resolutions. And lastly, IS terror in Syria. IS, which is all known as Islamic State, has a serious and terrible terrorists in Syria. And because of those situations, United Nations holds many conferences to provide solutions for the situation. And then we'll move on to the effects of United Nations. We all know that United Nations has played great role to our world. Except for 17 SDGs, Sustainable Development Goals, they also hold conferences such as renewable energy or sustainable development. Like this, to provide us a world peace or equality, United Nations held a lot of conferences and do a hard work. And those makes us to make a more beautiful world. And we'll move on to.
So now I'll talk about the organization of the UNOG. So first, the UNECE stands for United Nations Economic Commission, and it focuses on invading global economic field, and it cooperates with global players and key stakeholders. The next one is UNCTAD. It's United Nations Conference and Trade Development, and it was formed in 1964 and has 194 member states. And its goal is to deal with development issues and international trade. The World Health Organization, WHO, was founded in 1948, and it directs and coordinates international health within the UN system. And the next one is ILO, the International Labour Organization. It was formed in 1919 to promote justice and recognize human labor rights. The last one is UNHCR, the High Commissioner for Refugees. It was formed in 1950, and its goal is to coordinate and lead international action to protect and resolve refugee problems worldwide.
And then WIPO, which is also known as World Intellectual Property Organization, is organized at 1967. It holds global forums for intellectual property for services, policy, and information and cooperation. It's an organization which has self-funding in UN with 188 member states. And WMO, which is known as World Meteorological Organization, which is organized at 1950. This has a UN system's authoritative voice on the states and behavior on the Earth, atmosphere, interaction with the oceans. The climate produces resulting distribution of the water resources. And ITU, which is International Telecommunication Union, opened at 1865. It opened to connect all the world's people, protect, support, and everyone's fundamental rights to communicate. UNITAR, which is known as United Nations Institute for Training and Research, is organized at 1963. It empowers individuals, governments, and organizations through knowledge and learning effectively overcome contemporary global challenges. And OHCHR, which is Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, is organized at 1993. It leads violated victims to speak out objectively in the face of human rights violation. So sorry.
So we hope this presentation can be a step forward to your dream to UN. But always remember, UN is infinite. Infinite. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.